3. Yahweh is forever! Got to warm you up for some worship here, you know. I thought before we worship, I'll just share a tiny brief. It was just as I was reading today in terms of Yom Kippur. I just want to read Hebrews 10, because something struck me, and I want to read the whole chapter to get the context of what struck me even more today, of what we are celebrating and remembering when we afflict our beings. And it says from verse 1 in Hebrews 10, "For the Torah, having a shadow of the good matters to come, and not the image itself of the matters, was never able to make perfect those who draw near with the same slaughter offerings continually year by year. Otherwise, would they not have ceased to be offered, because those who served, once cleansed, would have had no more consciousness of sins. But in those offerings is a reminder of sins year by year. For it is impossible for blood of bulls and goats to take away sins. Therefore, coming into the world, he says, slaughtering and meal offering you did not desire, but a body you have prepared for me. In ascending offerings and offerings for sin you did not delight. Then I said, see, I come, in the roll of the book it has been written concerning me, to do your desire, O Elohim. Saying above, slaughter and meal offering and ascending offerings and offerings for sin you did not desire, nor delighted in, which are offered according to the Torah. And then he said, see, I come to do your desire, O Elohim. He takes away the first to establish the second. By that desire we have been set apart through the offering of the body of Yeshua Messiah once for all. And indeed, every priest stands day by day doing service and repeatedly offering the same slaughter offerings, which are never able to take away sins. But he, having offered one slaughter offering for sins for all time, sat down at the right hand of Elohim, waiting from that time onward until his enemies are made a footstool for his feet. For by one offering he has perfected for all time those who are being set apart. And the set apart Spirit also witnesses to us. For after having said before, this is the covenant that I shall make with them after those days, says Yahweh, giving my laws into their hearts and in their minds, I shall write them. And their sins and their lawlessnesses I shall remember no more. Now, where there is forgiveness of these, there is no longer a joy, the seizure of your possessions, knowing that you have a better and a lasting possession for yourselves in the heavens. Do not then lose your boldness, which has great reward. For you have need of endurance, so that when you have done the desire of Elohim, you receive the promise. For yet a little while, he who is coming shall come and shall not delay. But the righteous shall live by belief. But if anyone draws back, my being has no pleasure in him. But we are not of those who draw back to destruction, but of belief to the preservation of life. And I read the whole chapter because we need to hear the warning contained in disobedience as well. But with this, what struck me is what we're celebrating here today is obviously the Day of Atonement, which we've spoken at length at. I hope many of you have been through the article on Yom Kippur, the Day of Coverings, looked at the various aspects of what we do today and afflicting our being and what it means. And when you go through Vayikra 16, you see the procedure that the high priest would have to do every single year. And what was commanded as an everlasting ordinance is to afflict our beings, which is what we're doing. Busy with the inner man before the face of the Master who's redeemed us. And what struck me here is that the difference what we're celebrating now is every year that they would come to Yom Kippur and have their sins put on the head of that goat that was sent into the wilderness. It was done, it says here, those offerings in reminder of sins year by year. Can you think about that? Every year they would come and they'd be reminded again of everything that they've done and all the sins they've done. It's a reminder where what Shaul is writing here, he's writing and saying that this is what's unique and so special, and what we praise Yahweh for in his one-time offering of his blood for us, is because those offerings could never satisfy what his blood does. Because if it could, and it could cleanse their conscience, they wouldn't have to do it year after year. But him coming one time, that's why he says, slaughtering and meal offering you did not desire. It's not that those offerings are, remember, they're all a means to draw near, but they were all shadow pictures of the good matters to come, which the Master has done for us. So what we do today, this is not a remembrance of our sins. This is being busy with our being before him, recollecting what he's done, that one work that he's done, but with the sober warning that the one who does not afflict their being shall be cut off. And it comes here with this, if you purposefully sin after having received the knowledge, then there only waits for you an anticipation of judgment. There is no other slaughtering, because he's slaughtered already. and we don't trample underfoot. So I just, reading through Ivrim today and through Chazan and everything else, I was really just gripped by just that small concept of what we do here as opposed to what they were doing before Messiah came in the flesh. Is that we're not remembering sins year by year. We are coming to recognize who we are in Him, busy ourselves with Him, and put off the flesh, knowing that He remembers our sins no more. And if we can take that and realize that His blood cleanses our conscience, and that's what we celebrate. And when we see the scripture, when He comes again, He'll turn our mourning into joy. That's part of what we anticipate for this day, where we afflict our beings. But the Yom Kippur that He does return on, it's going to be a joyous reunion and celebration of that which we have held fast to in preserving that which He's given us with endurance, as we don't look back, because we don't shrink back, because He takes no pleasure in those who shrink back and forget what they've been cleansed from. So today is a wonderful celebration. Yes, we put aside the flesh, but more importantly, above that, it was to focus on the matters that come from above, because that's where our good treasure lies, and that's what we are waiting for with His soon return, for Him to be in our midst. And that's what we celebrate here, you know, is that I know some of you find it tough in the flesh, but you know what? He's overcome the flesh, so we can overcome in Him. And when we come to close this day in celebration of that with worship before His throne, we're joining in with the declaration of those who in Chazan are continually saying, how long? When will you take vengeance? So this is part of our cry as well, is we're kind of saying, oh, Yahweh, we're longing for you, we're ready, we're here. We've been cleansed, we've been revived, we've been restored and reunited to a covenant that we were once far off from or cut off from because of sin. And you who remembers no sin no more, that's who we come into the presence of, to find completeness in our being, so that we can walk according to the Spirit and put to death the things of the flesh. So this is a celebration of doing this collectively as a bride that He has made whole. And Yom Kippur symbolizes, as you will have seen through all the notes, this is the reunion that takes place, where He'll come to take us up and take us to go and feast with Him in a few days' time, metaphorically, for Sukkot. You know, so while we know that He did not come yet this Yom Kippur, it's a common saying that would say this year, next year in Yerushalayim, and not in, yes, physically, but with the Yerushalayim which comes down from above, that He comes, which we are His bride, taking to rebuild His established order in a city that at the moment is spiritually Sodom and Mitzrayim. So what this day symbolizes is, now that He has not come now, we hold fast and we don't look back, we press on, we don't shrink back. We lift up hands that are set apart, we encourage one another, we lift one another up, and we make sure that the praise that we bring in is a praise from a pure heart that we've been busy with the whole day. Is everybody kind of ready to give Him some praise and come before His throne? So as we close Yom Kippur, we're going to praise and worship, and anybody wants to just continue and pray and intercede or give thanks to Yahweh, this is the time to do so. And it was a last minute thing for me to say, let's put this on Twitch, because there were one or two that saying, aren't you? Renee asked on Shabbat, Amon asked this morning, and so I kind of thought, okay, well, let's share our ability to worship with our family that's around the world, that they can gather here with us and at an acceptable time for them too. You know, and encourage them that as they've got a few hours left and we're a little ahead, a lap or so ahead, we can encourage them that it's okay, we're still standing, so they can make it. Amen. Master Yahweh, we bless you, we thank you for your work, your redemption that you have worked in us through Passover, your slaughtering, coming to the fulfillment, or the shadow picture of that fulfillment that we are celebrating today with Yom Kippur, where this is a day of covering, and we are found to be hidden in you, covered by your mercy, by your goodness, by your favor. And not only being covered, but you have cleansed our consciences from dead works to serve the living Elohim, for which we give thanks and praise. As we enter into your presence, we do so with much joy and delight as we come to give you an offering of praise that is pleasing to you, joining in the declaration of the continual praise that surrounds your throne, declaring that you are Yahweh El Shaddai. We bless you, we praise you, and we magnify your name with one voice in this place, in the name of Yahushua. Amen. Amen. Good.
Kippur is here, Yahweh has done great things. He has brought us near to His throne. He is our Elohim. He's also the high priest. He has brought us with His own blood. Hallelujah, praise Yahweh. Hallelujah, praise His name. We will sing and celebrate this great day, for Yeshua is King of Kings. Yom Kippur is here, Yahweh has done great things. He has brought us near to His throne. He is our Elohim. He's also the high priest. He has brought us with His own blood. Hallelujah, praise Yahweh. Hallelujah, praise His name. We will sing and celebrate this great day, for Yeshua is King of Kings. We will sing and celebrate this great day, for Yeshua is King of Kings. For Yeshua is King of Kings. I come to bow before your throne, to worship you and you alone. I bring an offering of praise to you, the Ancient of Days. Great and marvelous are all your works, Yah. In righteousness and truth you judge our ways. Who shall not fear you, O Master, and give esteem to your name? Great and marvelous are all your works, My fight is done, I'm all alone, only you know where I've been. I'm on the ground, there's no way out, can't beat this unseen foe. I surrender, I give it all to you. I surrender, my life belongs to you. The battle's been long, but you are strong. I can't do this on my own. I bend my knees, you set me free, defeat all my enemies. I surrender, I give it all to you. I surrender, my life belongs to you. Oh, I have hope, you never let me down. You are my only salvation. When my friends let me down, you are always around. You are faithful beyond all measure. Oh, I have hope, you never let me down. You are my only salvation. When my friends let me down, you are always around. You are faithful beyond all measure. I surrender, I give it all to you. I surrender, my life belongs to you. I surrender, I give it all to you. I surrender, my life belongs to you. I surrender, I give it all to you. I surrender, my life belongs to you. feet are set on solid ground. Walking in your steadfast word. With your goodness I am satisfied. And I will wait for you. Incline your ear to me and hear my cry. And I will wait for you. Incline your ear to me and hear my cry. Heart belongs to you alone. You have captured me with your great love. Empty me of me, so that I can be more like you. Fill me up with you, so that I can do all your will. Let me know your heart. Let me seek it out with every breath I take. Let me set on. Let me honor you with every move I make. For you are Yahweh, great and strong. Yes, you are Yahweh, the mighty one. Oh, you are Yahweh, I worship you. All that you command me I will do. For you are Yahweh, great and strong. Yes, you are Yahweh, the mighty one. Oh, you are Yahweh, I worship you. All that you command me I will do. Now I give my life a living sacrifice, all for you. Come and shine your light, chase away the night, bring your truth. Let me run with your word. Let me take it to the nations all around. Let me not be silent, but everywhere I go declare the sound. For you are Yahweh, great and strong. Yes, you are Yahweh, the mighty one. Oh, you are Yahweh, I worship you. All that you command me I will do. For you are Yahweh, great and strong. Yes, you are Yahweh, the mighty one. Oh, you are Yahweh, I worship you. All that you command me I will do. For you are Yahweh, great and strong. Yes, you are Yahweh, the mighty one. Oh, you are Yahweh, He was pierced for our wrongs, He was crushed for our sins, chastised for our peace, and by His stripes we are healed. They spat in His face, impaled on the stake. Thus they would pass as a sign of disgrace. We all went astray, and we turned our own way. He died so that all can come and obey. Hoshiana in the highest, Hoshiana in David, Hoshiana you came in the name, so Israel is saved. Hoshiana in the highest, Hoshiana Redeemer, Hoshiana to the Lamb that was slain, ruler of heaven and earth. Hoshiana in the highest, Hoshiana ben David, Hoshiana you came in the name, so Israel is saved. Hoshiana in the highest, Hoshiana Redeemer, Hoshiana to the Lamb that was slain, ruler of heaven and earth. We hold fast to His name, in which we made our way. The scepter of straightness is the sign of His reign. We sing our praise to you, giving thanks to Yahweh. In His favor and His truth and shalom we will stay. Hoshiana in the highest, Hoshiana ben David, Hoshiana you came in the name, so Israel is saved. Hoshiana in the highest, Hoshiana Redeemer, Hoshiana to the Lamb that was slain, ruler of heaven and earth. Hoshiana in the highest, Hoshiana ben David, Hoshiana you came in the name, so Israel is saved. Hoshiana in the highest, Hoshiana Redeemer, Hoshiana to the Lamb that was slain, ruler of heaven and earth. Hallelujah for Yeshua, hallelujah to the King, hallelujah for Yeshua, the name that saves. Hallelujah for Yeshua, hallelujah to the King, hallelujah for Yeshua, the name that saves. Hallelujah for Yeshua, hallelujah to the King, hallelujah for Yeshua, the name that saves.
Master Yahweh, we bless you. We thank you for giving us the privilege to be able to come into your presence, to delight ourselves in you, and to share in the privilege of bringing an offering to you and you alone. I thank you, Master Yahweh, that You've given us all that we need for life and reverence. You've given us strength to endure in you. You've given us all we need even for this day to be able to stand here as we draw close to the closing of this, the Sabbath of Sabbaths, the day of coverings that we celebrate, our covering in you, our cleansing in you, our ordination in you as a priesthood that can serve you with much joy and thanksgiving. We thank you, Master Yahweh, that above all we're able to draw near to you with boldness in our time of need, and not just in that, in our time of praise. We thank you, Yah, for your goodness and your love that endures forever. We pray you continue to strengthen us as your bride is making herself completely ready for your soon return. And we long for your return, O Master Yah. We pray that your day comes speedily, that we can be with you forever. We bless you in the name of Yeshua. Amen. Anybody want to share? I know Patrick wanted to share a verse or two. Put this up. Patrick?
Yeah. Okay, it's in Luke 21 verse 19. He says, possess your lives by your endurance. And then I want to go quickly to Romans 5. Romans 5. And it says, therefore, having been declared right by belief, we have peace with Elohim through our Master Yeshua Messiah, through whom we also have access in belief into this favor in which we stand, and we exalt in the expectation of the esteem of Elohim. And not only this, but also exalt in precious, knowing that pressure works endurance, endurance works approvedness, and approvedness works expectation. And expectation does not disappoint, because the love of Elohim has been poured into our hearts by means of the set-apart spirit which he has given us. Amen.
Okay, smile. It's a good word. Possess your lives by endurance, and everything that he's given us, that we need, he's given us. Okay, I just thought I would let those that are here who's reading, Anybody want to share? Look, we've got a few minutes before we close Yom Kippur. Anybody want to share something that they've experienced, or just had some wonderful insight, or just breakthroughs, or something today, something that they've seen, or just enjoyed being in the Master's presence and you want to share? Anything you're still giving up to the Master, you want to give up? That's what we're here together as a body to do together in his presence.
I was thinking today, we are in the world, but we are not of the world.
Amen.
And you get
Praise
things
Yahweh.
out there to get to you to a certain degree. And I thought to myself, through all the noise that is happening out there, and all the badness that is happening out there, how cool is it that we are called the remnant? And that Yahweh actually chose us as his remnant bride. I mean, that is for me was like a moment that I had there, that he's just so awesome. And we are just so blessed.
I think for us today, as well as a family, by Yahweh's grace, that was our first Yom Kippur that we have experienced. And this afternoon, Angela said that she cannot believe how quiet it is in the house. It's like, it was almost eerie. There was she hasn't heard anything the whole day. And I'm sure that was because of Yahweh's presence and what we spend the day in knowledge of him and speak to him and ask forgiveness. I know that he's there.
Praise Yahweh that we have a high priest who not only covers our sin but actually intercedes with the Father continually and takes it as far away as the east is from the west. Praise His name
Yes.
forever.
In
Hallelujah.
our conscience. Yeah.
And I think that's what I was saying before we started to worship, is that's what gripped me even more today, is it's not just the covering, it's a removal. And that is something special that we celebrate, you know, and I think that eeriness, if you will, sorry Kari, it's one day a year. I think that you talked about how quiet it was and maybe almost like so eerie, and I'm reminded when you say that how when Yahweh's presence came into the tabernacle or came into the temple, that the priests could not do their duty because of His presence being so overwhelming, you know. And I think this is what we experience on a day where we come. I mean, every day we're before His face, but uniquely this day is set apart as the day of rest, where we enter into Him and into His presence. And I think that which we experience and grow in, and you know, it's such a blessing to see. You know, some of us have done a little bit more than one Yom Kippur, but it doesn't make any less the joy of coming into His presence and the celebration. Wow, here's somebody that's just had their first. This is awesome. This shows for me Yahweh's word is living, it's active, it's moving, it's increasing, and it's causing His bride to be made whole. And it's also an expression. Yes, part of me sometimes thinks, oh, he didn't come this Yom Kippur. But then we also think that we realize and celebrate that He's not slow as we understand slowness, but that He desires that all men are saved, which puts responsibility on us, because we have a job to do, all of us, to go out there and make sure there are others that can come in the next cycle of feasts and partake in the Pesach meal, go to Shavuot, come to Yom Kippur and experience His presence as we experience when we come on this day. And so it's so with that, part of, in a sense, partial disappointment that He didn't come, but then with that is the excitement of Sukkot. And suppose that might be why the command is to rejoice, because everybody's maybe a bit upset you didn't come on Yom Kippur. And it's like, no, rejoice because you booth with Him. So it's you know, we have lots to be thankful for, and we have lots to celebrate. And I think that's what this day also helps us. When you've got time to not do your own things and to be focused wholeheartedly on Him, you know, hopefully you've got time to just recollect and reflect on the good word that He's brought and given to us, you know. Do you want to share something? No. Anybody want to share? Anybody want to pray or ask or just give praise to Yahweh? I mean, Johan gave good praise there. It's a celebration, you know. We're all very hungry.
It's actually not that bad now. Once we've done this, you can...
Yeah. So can we worship for another hour?
Yes, try some little dry.
That's a little Renee is just saying hello from Deutschland. Shalom. Renee, I'm glad that we decided in almost the last minute just to twitch a little for you. And we're going to do our best to see if we can at Sukkot, depending on the signal. So we look forward to being able to, you know, share as a family with those. I know Amon is also online with us. And so it's just nice that we can share this moment, this intimacy. It's not about the cameras and the equipment. It's about Yahweh's presence and how He's here with us and He's here with them where they're sitting. But collectively, through technology, we can share that information and joy that He's with us together as His bride. You know, and I think that's a joy. Who's enjoyed this day so much?
Me.
Huh? I hope now you go, oh, well, you know, it's like, this is every Sabbath that we go through when we come into His presence is a working up to this. This is the Sabbath of Sabbaths. This is the highlight and the pinnacle of everything that His redemptive work has begun in us as we look forward to its completion in us. For His one-time work, this is the day where we remember what He's done, but keep working out, because this day marks a shadow picture of that which is coming when it will be made complete. And that's something worth looking forward to. Giving us the strength to hold on, as Patrick said when he quoted from Ephesians. It is from where? Mark. Luke, possess your lives by endurance. You know, and I think that's exactly it. And we need to encourage one another, all the more as we see that day approaching, because we need endurance and we need each other. You know, so
it's a great reminder for me that when I am weak, He is strong. And it's the way He sustains us through this fast. It's absolutely amazing.
Praise Yahweh. Hetty Stain, Shalom from Rates. There we go. Shalom Hetty. And then Amon said, praise, I just checked my blood sugar now. Amon has diabetes and sugar. And he said, it is normal. It's been a long time since it's been normal. My blood sugar normally runs 2 and 3 times higher than most people. But today, it's normal. Praise Sure. Anyway, yeah, I think as we close, it's almost there. So, okay, still one verse. Okay, Kathleen doesn't have her glasses, so bear with her. We'll read it in slow pace. Mickey? Anybody want to say anything else? He's happy too. Renee, you almost, I don't know what the time is in Germany, but you should also almost be done. Sunset, I think they're an hour behind, isn't it right? Or if it's it's going into winter, autumn. Oh, you were close there. You were, Amsterdam. It's like close. Time-wise, I'm just thinking, in an hour. Okay, so I hope you endure. I was thinking, we got together this last hour, and I'm always reminded of, when I think of an hour, I'm always reminded of the Master's words, can you not even keep watch with me 1 hour? I know that was just before he was impaled, etc., but the symbolism behind that shows how, for this day, we can be people who are watching, waiting, in anticipation of his coming. Can we want to read from?
Yeah, I was just feeling when they talked about how quiet it was in the house. I was going through Yeshayahu this morning, and I was just sharing with them as well about how the twofold message of those that are friends of Yahweh are covered, protected, looking forward to his coming, and then those who are his enemies, he will take vengeance. Because last night we were also reading about how Yahweh takes vengeance on his enemies, and how we will rejoice with him because his enemies are also our enemies. Yes. And then when you said about how peaceful it was, and I'm just going to read a bit because that's what came to my heart. Yeshayahu 32, from verse 16 on, first talks about the judgment, and then it says, then right ruling shall dwell in the wilderness, and righteousness remain in the garden land. The work of righteousness shall be peace, and the service of righteousness be rest and safety forever. And my people shall dwell in a home of peace, and in safe dwellings, and in undisturbed resting places, even when hail shall fall, felling the forest, and the city be brought low in humiliation. Blessed are you who sow beside all waters, who send out the foot of the ox and the donkey.
So a home of shalom, that is what our Master promises us. And I think we are his house. He is the King of shalom. And when we're in him, we can have full shalom. And the working of righteousness will be shalom.
Brings peace.
And it brings peace. When you do what's right, you have peace. So we have peace with Elohim. Romans writes, we therefore now have peace with Elohim, because he's done what's right, so that in him we can do what's right. And that's what we celebrate today. So as we close this wonderful day of Yom Kippur, we do so with much joy and delight and praise. And I think anybody got anything they'd like to share before we close and before we just enjoy entering into day 11, breaking this fast together and celebrating the provision of Yahweh's completeness over us. Right. Master Yahweh, we bless you, we praise you, we thank you once again for being able to come into your presence. And it is a joy and a delight for us to celebrate the covering, cleansing, and complete removal of our sin that you came to work for us, that we don't need, as it was before, as a shadow picture of your work, to go once a year to have the blood of bulls and goats take care of that by which we've done in error. And so I pray, Master Yahweh, that we would realize the gift that you've given us through your sacrifice, that we would not treat it lightly, that we would not grieve your Spirit in any way. As your word says, that he who is in Messiah is done with sin. And so I pray that this day would be another springboard for us to guard us and cause us to be a people that are dressed in those robes of righteousness that you have given to us by your working hand. I pray that we'd be a people that collectively can say, as a body and individually, before your face, that we are done with sin because you have done a mighty work in us. And what you've begun in us, we are excited to see how you complete it as we work it out with fear and deliverance, fear and trembling before your face. Master Yahweh, we bless you and we thank you for this day that you've kept us, that we can come to the close of Yom Kippur and celebrate your life over us. And as we continue to fellowship into this new day that is approaching us, I pray that you bless our fellowship, bless the unity of your Spirit within us as you continue to build us as one in you. I also thank you for your strength and shalom that you give to those that have joined us online, whether they're on the same timeline or even just halfway through Yom Kippur. I pray you continue to bless and strengthen everyone that you've called by name. In the name of Yeshua Messiah, we praise you and make great your name in this place. Yigdal Yahweh. Yahweh be made great. In the name of Yeshua. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.